Hi, everyone. I hope you had a great week. I had the amazing opportunity to be a retreat leader with Father Ignatius Mazanowski on a healing retreat here in Sedona, Arizona. More specifically, healing in your identity as a beloved son or daughter of God. So just taking that time to discover, rediscover, repair, renew, restore your relationship with God. And it was just a wonderful experience for everyone involved, myself included. And I thought I would just give you like a really abridged version of the presentation that I gave at the retreat. Basically, I talked about how in my particular journey, I was baptized Catholic when I was a baby, but my parents left the church when I was around 2 years old. So I ended up growing up without any faith at all. Which of course I lament now, but it gave me the very unique opportunity to know what it's like to live your life without God and what happens to your identity in that case. So for me, and I think this is probably quite common, what happens is that your identity basically gets tied into what you do or your relationships. So basically, if you have a particular job, then that's who you are, is your job. If you're in a relationship, if you have a boyfriend, that's your whole identity is your boyfriend and your relationship. Or maybe it's where you live. I live in this particular place. It's just the kind of person I am. So basically when you start to live your life that way and your identity keeps changing and changing and changing based on, the changes in your life with different jobs, different people that you're around, different places that you live, eventually you get to a point where you're like, what in the heck is going on? This doesn't make any sense, So that's kind of where I had to kind of take a step back and say okay, the jig is up. Is that right? The jig or the gig? I said this yesterday too, and I can't remember. But, it's just kind of like, this isn't going to work. I need to find out who I really am. And at that point, I wrote on a piece of paper, always remember who you are. I don't know why I wrote that. I was compelled to do it, and I put it in my purse. It's still there today. I wrote it back in 2016. And I don't know if it was a prayer, or I wouldn't have called it a prayer then, of course, but it was just this, it's like I knew I had amnesia or something, and I needed to remember who I was. And I love this quote by Pope St. John Paul II. You are not who they say you are. Let me remind you who you really are. Okay, so we have all these voices around us telling us who we are, who we should be. And he's saying, let me remind you who you really are. And who you really are is a beloved son and daughter of God. And of course, I ended up coming home to the Catholic Church and finding this out, and it changed my life completely, just a complete 180. And let me share with you, once I realized that my true identity is a beloved daughter of God, it doesn't matter how much is in my bank account, okay? I could have a ton of money, I could have no money at all, and I'm still going to be a beloved daughter of God. He's still going to love me. It doesn't matter what I look like, okay? I could be really attractive, I could be really unattractive, I could be heavy or skinny or whatever. It doesn't even matter, because no matter what, I'm still going to be a beloved daughter of God. He's still going to love me. It doesn't matter if I'm surrounded by people or I'm completely alone. He still loves me. It doesn't matter if I'm healthy or sick. Now this was kind of a wild one to learn as I became Catholic. Catholics are so hardcore, but when I was a kid, we would always say, well, as long as you're healthy, and the thought was like, oh, that's pretty low maintenance. I mean, we thought, well, yeah, we agree. Like, if you don't have a lot of money, or maybe you don't have a great job or whatever, but as long as you're healthy, you're good. But Catholics are like, no, man, like you could be sick. You could be, we have saints that were paralyzed for years, and they're saints, okay? Catholics even go as far to say, oh, your prayers are going to be even more efficacious now that you are suffering, and it's like, yeah, wow, this is amazing. So even if I'm not well and I can't even accomplish anything, God's still going to love me, and I'm going to be able to contribute in my own way. I mean, that's amazing. It doesn't matter if I'm liked or hated. Like, everyone could think I'm amazing and everyone could hate me. Still doesn't matter to God. God still loves me. It doesn't matter if I am a success, whatever that means, or if I am a complete failure. I could set out to do a task and everything could go exactly the way I wanted it to go, or I could set out to do a task and nothing could go the way I wanted it to go. I could fall flat on my face. God is still going to love me. I'm still going to be a beloved daughter of God. And I really realized this during my very first Triduum, during my very first Lent. So I wasn't actually Catholic yet. I was going through RCIA, and because of the weird timing of when I came in, I actually did not get my confirmation until Advent. So that year, 2017, was just a year when I was just learning. And I remember at the time saying, well, I'm not Catholic yet, so I don't have to really take this Lent and Easter thing seriously. And to this day, it is probably the most important Lent and Easter I ever had. And I did go to the Good Friday Mass, and I remember being on my knees, praying and looking at the crucifix. And it was really the first time that it set in that Jesus died for me. Jesus died for me. I'll never get over it. Now that I have this information, everything has to change. And what does this mean? This means that I'm worth something. Like God, the God of the universe, became a man and died for me. Knowing all the things that I would do, he did this for me. And this means I need to act a certain way. This means everything that I do matters. And this means that I am loved more than I can even comprehend. Like, I can't even understand how much he loves me. It's infinite, okay? My life has dignity, value, and worth. When I look at him on the cross, I have him right here with St. Francis. I have so many people, say on our Instagram for the Chapel of the Holy Cross, why do you still have him on the cross? And it's like, that's what love is. Yes, of course, he resurrected from the grave. We know this, but when we look at him on the cross, like, we know what he did for us, and we know what real love is, and love is sacrifice. And from that flows our identity, and it flows our objective of what we're meant to do and who we're created to be, and how great all of this is that we're a part of, okay? I know I have everything I need when I have him. When I have him, I have everything I need. I do not need to be afraid of anything, which means I am free. I am free. All those other identities, when you tie yourself to a certain career, a certain place, you're actually like putting shackles on you, But when you're recognizing that you are a beloved daughter or son of God, you're free. You're not shackled to anything but him, and he's eternal, And finally, my heart is filled to overflowing. Whenever I think about it, it's like I can't even take it. I can't even take the love that he wants to give. It's like, okay, stop. I can't even take it anymore because it's so much. I don't know if you know St. Philip Neri, but he's famous for having that experience in prayer where it's just God filled his heart so much that his heart actually became enlarged for real. Like when he died, and they opened up his body to see, like his heart was so large it broke ribs. It actually physically happened. And that's what I think about. That's what I think about when I try to contemplate the love that God has for me. It's like nothing else in this world. It's like nothing in this world. It's like nothing else. And I love this quote. It is better to be a child of God than king of the whole world. That's Saint Aloysius Gonzaga. But I would say, I do want to say this really quick before I finish off with another great quote. Jesus says so many times, he'll say something greater than the temple is here, something greater than Solomon is here. And he's trying to tell them, like, don't get attached to the temple or to certain people. There's something greater going on here. And this is what we do. St. Augustine talks about this, how we get attached to signs. These signs, they're things that are pointing to God, but we get attached to them. St. Augustine says it's like if you're going to a destination, you have a specific destination, but like halfway there you stop and then you just hang out in that town. You're like, oh, this is a good place to be, and you never make it to where you're supposed to go. This is a great quote. I honestly don't know who said it. I can't remember, but it says, the visible things of creation are like handwritten letters from God. So it's so important for us to remember when we see a beautiful place or a beautiful person that they're pointing to God. And it's so easy for us. I think it's just kind of our nature as human beings to become attached, to, like, if we see a person and they're beautiful and charismatic and they're witty and intelligent and we kind of get drawn to them, we have to remember this person, this is a sign of God. If this person is this amazing, what is God like? Or, you go to the Grand Canyon, and you see these beautiful views, and it's easy to get attached to that too, right? But once again, it's a handwritten letter from God. Just remember, all of these things are pointing to God. And when you know that you are a beloved son or daughter of God, you know who you were created to be, you know where you came from, you know where you're going, and it gives you that confidence, okay? Finally, I want to finish off with this quote. I think it might be one of my favorite quotes of all time, although I have so many. But this is St. Francis de Sales. He says, when did God's love for you begin? It began when he began to be God. When did he begin to be God? Never, for he has been forever, without beginning and without end. So also he has loved you from all eternity. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to live your life knowing that. Everything you do, keep that in mind. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless you. Have a wonderful week.